Hey honey bunches, how are you? I'm filming during the week. It's a Tuesday. Doesn't usually happen because honestly it's emotional energy wise is filled with looking after my aging grandparents. Everything's just not calm, and today's no different, but I'm taking inspiration from a book I read recently which is called I Didn't Do the Thing Today, which sort of makes you unpack productivity and our tight grip on routines as the answer to everything. And yes, they can help your mental health, but our sort of obsession with them, this book sort of goes into say it can actually defeat their purpose and cause us more stress, which I think is where I'm at, because I like grabbed on to the stability or like to know what I'm doing effect of routines and to-do lists when I was like younger than you should be. We're definitely at the needing to unpack that now, and the point is that you can turn your day around at any point, and this book sort of suggests maybe catching yourself when you hear yourself falling into those, my morning was like totally all over the place as it was this morning, so my day's gone to mush. That was a tangent. I did get in the kitchen in the end, and I have a bit of catering to do. Often you see my lentil sausage rolls being something I'm making. I made a batch of them, and then I made very roughly tried out making some vegan gluten-free, which is tricky, phyllo pastry. And I just encouraged my dad to take our pasta machine up to Canberra where he lives and works, because I thought he would get more use out of it. And then in this recipe it's like, yeah, a pasta machine makes this recipe very much easier. Not having that here, I just rolled out with a rolling pin, and you really can't get it as thin enough. So those, what was I making, like spanakopita type things, also with some almond feta which I'd made and wanted to use up. Yeah, they're like, because I couldn't really roll the pastry neatly, I couldn't really cut it neatly and therefore make it into like nice neat triangles, so I just was doing it quickly, and I'm gonna taste it and see if it's any of those elements are worth pursuing. It's nearly lunchtime now, and I like to do my cooking in the morning because I just get like brain fog and sort of not as sharp and like willing to stand up and contemplate decisions in recipe making after lunch, but I think I will do a bit. So I actually have a massage this afternoon evening, which I booked a few weeks ago when I was feeling my stress was a bit out of control, so that's a bit of treat to self-care, very needed. It's an Earl Grey tea. Tea is so good. I haven't been drinking as much because when my gut's a bit funky, it just can make me feel a bit nauseous and like it comes across as too rich, which is really sad because I really like drinking tea, and any like naturopath functional medicine persons, it just seems like a very shunned beverage, but there's so much more to it. Like, it's comfort and the smell is like very grounding, even if the caffeine isn't. Food just isn't. Simple, you know. But just a little haircut update, I am loving it. It feels so good. I wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and there's volume. I actually like it when I just wake up, like it looks even a bit more like a mullet, and I love it so much. Like, even though it's kind of a change, it doesn't feel like the biggest change. It just feels like a effortless, meant to be type cut. I think this haircut is going to help me so much with getting more time in between washes. So yeah, I am very, very happy. I just thought I'd show you two cookbooks that a friend of my mum lent me to read and go through. They are such products of a different era of cookbook and aesthetic from like the 2010s. Women's Weekly, like retro recipes, baking day, and then this New Zealand cookbook keepsakes, and the whole book is in a sort of scrapbook style, and you can't even sometimes distinguish the recipe, and they're quite hard to read, written on a typewriter. And it just makes me think how the cookbook aesthetic, if you think from this end of the spectrum to then Ottolenghi, it's like maximalist to minimalist. I think you just see it a lot. Like, you tend to go between the two. You see it in fashion with like pattern clashing, like that used to be very accepted and like cute and quirky, and I definitely did that. And now there's like a strong pull towards like basics, block colours, and quite minimalist black and white. I think I'll always have some sort of pull towards the maximalist because of like a people-pleasing thing that I just don't always put the brakes on with believing whatever it is I'm designing in cookbooks or aesthetic wise, like it's enough. But also because I grew up at a time when like scrapbooking and maximalist vintage clashing OTT-ness was huge, and I loved it. But there is something about this keepsakes cookbook which really stresses me out. Like, it doesn't even make you want to read the recipes, I think. And I think I knew that back whenever this came out. Like, it was definitely one I wanted to get, but I was like, I don't think I can even follow the recipes because they're just too hard to read. Also, I think to myself, maybe it was at a time when printing cost less and the economy was doing better, because like printing a book like that, so much colour, would cost so much. This one has every medium. It's got like felt on the front, it's got fabric, illustration, typeface, images of pattern card. This book honestly gives me the creeps just a smidge as well, because there's sections of it talking about like the vintage cook and how to be the perfect hostess. Came out in 2012. I just do not think that would fly these days. You cannot tell women, like, it's not even phrased in a way that this is what would happen. It was more like, if you want to be a good hostess, like, follow these top tips in the homemaking department. And it completely sells women are below men. It's really creepy. You just can't tell women to actively do that. Like, that would not fly 10 years later, thank God. Maybe you can see my haircut in this light way better. I am stoked because I essentially have a vegan pastry to work with now. Oh my gosh, that's huge. And even though I don't know that it can be totally classified as phyllo, even if it was using the thinner setting on a pasta machine, what it is actually more useful. It's kind of like a cross between puff pastry and gosling dough, and the taste is so good. I used my homemade butter in it, which I think definitely makes a difference, and it's so good to know that that actually is helpful in a application other than butter on toast. And I'm thinking spanakopita with my almond feta, because that was so good and I think can only get better. Samosas, lentil sausage rolls, if I can figure out a way to sub out the oats and make a version I love equally. Yeah, gosling, if I hadn't said that already. So exciting. It's so soft and chewy. I could not believe it. Anyway, I'm about to head off to my massage, and I just thought I'd show you 2 things I was sent. I approached them and they kindly sent me these, but I guess this does classify as an ad, so I don't know if you've heard of the brand Wanderlust. They're on billboards all around Melbourne at least. I guess you could say they sell like supplements, but they do herbal extracts, which until like very recently, and like these guys came on the scene, were a lot harder to find here in Australia. And I really like them because they're very accessible. They're not in a tablet form, and you can add them to recipes. I guess like if you were to heat it wouldn't sort of defeat the purpose, but like you can make like a nice conscious drink, like a hot chockey or like a pecan cinnamon latte, plug for my recipe in cinnamon toast, and add it to that. It's like a spoonful of sugar but in a more wholesome vessel, makes the medicine go down, and it just makes plants, which I really enjoy reading and learning about in herbalism books like Plant Magic, allows you to implement them in your life, because not all of us can grow a herbalism garden and have our own apothecary. Anyway, I explained this to them and they let me purchase 2, which I feel like sums me up right now. So I got licorice, which is to support gastrointestinal system health and relieve mild gut inflammation like bloating. It is quite strong in flavour and they don't add like another oil to soften it, so it is a bit of a but I have used this a bit already and I usually take it at the end of the day, and it is nice for helping to reduce bloating. And then the other one I've had on my eye out for a while, and it sounds worse than it is, and that's skullcap, which similar to ashwagandha and chamomile, there are others, but ashwagandha is sort of described as helping the body deal with stress. But this one is actually used as a calmative in Western herbal medicine and to relieve nervous tension. And it's also good for supporting restful sleep. And this one I've definitely noticed is more helpful than even other stuff like naturopaths or people have prescribed. I also really like this one because they add orange oil and it actually tastes quite nice. So thank you to Wanderlust for them. Hey yo, it's the next day. I really love that massage. Just a semi-bit of a battle in your mind to be like, it's fine, they see bodies all the time. Reassure yourself in between like, gosh, this is intimate, but also lovely. This morning I've been recipe testing like a mad person, getting so many places with vegan basics really, like butter, vegan cream, but also making a very easy mock cream with vegan butter. Phyllo pastry, where is she, baking. It's very productive. Just quite hay fevery today and not feeling my like freshest or bounciest, but we make do. I'm gonna head off, and my current audiobook that I'm listening to is Pandora Sky's How Do We Know We're Doing It Right? Essays on Modern Life. I think I need to stop listening to people who are like just past 30 or on the cusp of 30, if it's will they won't they romances or coming of age things or life epiphany stories. Like, I'm just not in that age group, and yeah, 6 years isn't that much, but like I'm not there yet, so I don't know why I'm diving so deep in that deep end of stories, because I don't need to be, and I think it's contributing to feeling a bit behind. Also, the news today that Ash Barty is retiring, and she's 25, and she's talking about over the span of her career and being 24, and it's like, what? Not that we should compare ourselves to other people, and it's a whole, you know, be content in your lane, which I mostly am, but yeah, I just gotta watch that content absorption. Remember to surround ourselves with places and people and stories which don't make us feel like we haven't achieved enough or anything. Just in my PJs and I'm about to end the video. I purchased this one after I got my massage yesterday. It's a bit of a treat to self. Don't think I've been as excited for a cookbook because the information, the hard work, the sheer game-changingness, the hours that went into this, I feel on a vascular or bone level. Georgia McDermott wrote FODMAP friendly, but this one is a bit more expansive and welcoming of more eaters, in that every recipe is gluten-free. They're like FODMAP aware, because she is, but a lot of them are vegan too. And I love that it's like a literal textbook, not in difficulty to read or anything, but just that it doesn't try to be a cookbook and have things balanced. Like, a lot of it is desserts and baked goods and breads, and just a lot of the areas that this particular crossover doesn't cover. And I can't wait to try so many of her recipes. The hot cross buns and just all the techniques. I'm gonna bloom and pour over. I'm honestly so shook by it. Like, it's just so impressive how much work and hours and pushing intolerance friendly like comfort food and baking into new realms. Just like all rounds of applause. Yeah, I'm so proud of her. Like, she's Australian, I don't know her, but random third party proud, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, Honey Bunches. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you super soon in the next one. Bye.